Good afternoon and welcome to the Legal Hour. I'm Keith Spencer with the law firm of Bailey and Galyen, and we're coming to you today from the Legal Cafe here on Main Street in Fort Worth, across from the courthouse. Joining me today is Ian Croall. He is a social security guru, and we're going to talk about all the new changes that are happening. I mean, every time you turn on the TV, somebody's talking about what we're doing to Social Security this week, and some people are saying, oh, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Other people are saying, it's raining cats and dogs, the world's coming to an end, it's awful, and nobody's ever going to get a check again. So, Ian, where do we really stand these days? I mean, it's an important program, and it's what, the third rail of politics? Don't mess with it.
Well, that's true, Keith, and it's somewhere between raining cats and dogs and not too much to worry about. First off, there has been an announcement of the cost of living increase for 2025, which is going to be at about 2.5%. Unfortunately, that's a bit lower than it's been the last 3 years, but I think it is reflective of the fact that inflation has come down a bit over the last year or two. In terms of raining cats or dogs, there are some proposed office closures. For Texas and Oklahoma, that's primarily going to affect Victoria, Nacogdoches, and Lawton, Oklahoma. Fortunately, these are hearing offices, so they really won't impact your needs to go see your local Social Security Administration. But if you have a hearing scheduled, you're more than likely going to have to travel a little bit further to see a judge, or take advantage of some of the more telephone hearings or virtual hearings instead of that.
Okay. So how much this COLA, cost of living increase, how much has that gone down from where it was?
Well, 2022 was at 5.9%, and 2023 was actually 8.7%. But as we saw in 2024, it was only at 3.2%. So it's been trending downward. Obviously, inflation kind of hit its peak in 2022, and the number coming down is reflective of that, of the inflation coming down overall throughout the country.
Okay. Now, I know there's a couple of things that are popping up. One is it's Freedom something. It's a new plan that actually the prior administration pushed through. And how's that going to work?
Well, what that had done is there had been a windfall provision that if you were receiving some teacher retirement benefits or other government pensions, you were restricted in the amount of benefits you could receive from Social Security.
Okay.
Fortunately, that they have removed that offset or that windfall provision, which allows you to collect both your Social Security pension and the pension from a different government agency that you might have worked for. So primarily for teachers, postal workers, or other government employees.
Firemen, policemen.
Firemen, policemen in some respects as well.
Okay. And the other thing that we've been hearing a lot about is the promise that, think people on Social Security should have to pay taxes on their benefit payments. How's that coming along, and is it look real, and what kind of impact's that going to have?
It does look real. For Social Security benefits, some of them are already tax-free. Depending on how much you get in benefits, you're usually going to fall under the requirement to file an income tax return. Mm-hmm. However, for those that are over, it's not a taxable income as of, if you keep under a certain amount. For certain high earners, obviously, they're going to have different things in their portfolio that are still going to require an income tax. But if your straight income is covering Social Security, chances are you're going to be under that threshold amount either way.
Okay. Now, with DOGE, there's a lot less employees, it looks like.
Well,
are going to be.
Well, that was part of the office closures. And, in terms of the lack of employees, that hasn't really affected Social Security yet. However, there is a planned cut of about 12% of the Social Security workforce, which I think amounts to about 7,000 workers, in the next coming weeks are going to be taken off the payroll at Social Security, so to speak. I think the majority of that is going to come through early retirements or layoffs, but I think what you're going to see and what you've already begun to experience is there's been extended wait times on the phone.
Okay.
So one of the things we want to talk about today are ways to avoid having to use the phone. In addition to that, Social Security is changing the way that they verify identity for purposes of survivor benefits, retirement benefits, and things of that nature. They're no longer allowing people to kind of confirm their identity via the phone. You're going to have to go into some of the local offices to do that, or you can still use their online portal. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to use that online portal, how to maximize it to your advantage, and make sure that you're not wasting your time on the phone.
Okay, I have found, and this is true of a number of different government organizations and agencies, that I can spend forever on the phone and accomplish nothing.
Unfortunately, that is true for Social Security as well. The phone has become kind of an evil stepchild of the internet at this point in time. They just don't have the staff to handle the number of calls that are coming in.
Okay.
So, they're really trying to direct people to the online portals. If you do need to use the phone, my recommendation would be to only use it to make an appointment at your local office to see a Social Security representative in order to take care of business that way. The phone has just not been an effective means, and with the upcoming layoffs, I don't think the phone's going to be an effective tool to utilize to get your benefits started or to make changes to your account.
Okay. I tell folks frequently dealing with some of these agencies the same thing, that the best thing to do is to go to the office and you'll actually find someone who will help you. And part of it is not picking on the employees themselves, but in some of these agencies, their caseload is enormous.
That's correct.
And if they can get you off the phone, that's one less thing they have to do. If you're sitting in front of them, they kind of have to finish the process.
That is true. Again, though, the way that the local offices are set up for Social Security, they are slammed too. So if you do go in there without an appointment, you can still face a pretty early wait time. If you are going to go the non-appointment route, my recommendation would be to get there as soon as the door is open, be the first person in line, get that number, and see a representative. If you get there during your lunch break, do not expect to return to the office that day.
Okay. So tell me about the Social Security portal.
Okay, so Social Security has developed this portal called My Social Security Account. You can access it at ssa.gov/my account. And essentially, it's an opportunity for you to take a look at your earnings that you've contributed to Social Security, take a look at what your eligibility is for either disability benefits or retirement, and you can even see how much you would get if you were found disabled or to retire at 62 or 66. So you can start doing some financial planning for your future.
Okay.
If you have filed a disability application or a survivor application, you are able to check the status of that application, and you're able to make changes to your direct deposit information if you want to switch the way the accounts go. Really, at this point in time, it's a vital tool in order to get business done at the Social Security Administration.
Okay. Is it hard to set up? Is it fairly user-friendly?
It's relatively user-friendly. You do need to be 18 years old. You have to have a valid email address, a valid United States address, and you do have to have some part of a credit history. So once you input your Social Security number into the system, they'll ask you questions based on your credit report. So you'll have to remember where you had lived in the past or maybe what vehicles you had owned in the past in order to confirm your identity. And if you do that, you can save that trip to your local office, and it's in lieu of using the phone. However, if you're not capable of doing that, in order to confirm your identity, you will have to travel to one of the local offices at some point.
Okay. I see people all the time. We all understand the Social Security pension for retiring folks and that sort of thing. But I see folks all the time who are trying to apply for SSI, for disability. And it seems to the layperson that the folks who try to do it themselves get turned down 2 or 3 times and they give up. But once they hire competent counsel, that thing slides through like nobody's business.
I don't know if it slides through, but it definitely makes things a lot easier. And especially when you look at what Social Security and a lot of the government agencies are going through right now, there's very little margin for error. And if you try to go through it on your own, and you've missed a checkbox, or you've missed a paperwork, or you missed a signed form, you can really delay the processing of your claim 6 to 8 months at this point in time. And with the even prior to the staffing shortages are going to go through now, it's been taking 8 to 9 months now to get an initial application through the Social Security process.
Wow, and so that's with an attorney's help?
That's even with an attorney's help. And if you don't, and if you're missing a page, once you get to the end of that rainbow in the 8th month, if you're missing something, you got to start all over. So it really is important at this point that if you think you're going to be on disability, or if you think you've got an injury or an impairment that's going to keep you from working for at least 12 months, to give us a call at the law offices of Bailey Galyen and let us walk you through the disability process and give you some advice on whether or not it's time to file now or if it's time to wait and see how you recover from your injuries potentially. How
expensive is it to get help to work on a disability claim?
Well, good news is we don't charge any money up front. It's a contingent fee agreement, so we're only collecting any fees from you if we are successful in getting you on disability payments.
So it doesn't cost anything to get it fixed.
It doesn't cost anything to get it fixed, and it doesn't cost anything to talk to us either. We don't charge any consultation fees, but we will take 25% of the past due benefits are covered up to a maximum of $9,200 if we are successful in getting your claim approved.
Okay. Where should people be looking for resources to to try and learn a little bit more and do the smart things?
Well, you can always go to the Bailey Galyen webpage.
Okay.
You can always check out our YouTube and TikTok stations as well and hear me talk a little bit more.
All right.
You can also go to ssa.gov. Is a great source for information on what the government's doing. That's also where you can sign up for your My Social Security account and make sure you can get the ball rolling on that. Those are the recommendations that I would have. I really, again, would stay away from any phone contact with the government at this time unless you got some time to kill.
So if someone's coming in to see you, what kinds of documentation would you like them to gather before they come to help you do your job?
You know, any kind of medical records that they have on hand, especially when you're looking at objective findings, any MRI reports, any x-rays that you might be able to take a look at, we can see and kind of give you some better advice on where to go next.
Okay.
You know, certainly if you've got your Social Security card, we're going to need that. We're going to need a driver's license, things of that nature. But really, we just need you to have an understanding of your work history and what doctors you've seen. So before you come to see us or before you call any attorney, really, you want to make sure you've got, you know, the doctors that you've seen who've prescribed your medications, who've seen you, who've made the recommendations, so that we can go get the medical records to prove your disability case.
Okay. Well, how can people get in touch with you if they want to talk to you some more?
Well, you can always give us a call here at Bailey & Galyen. I'm at the Dallas office. The Dallas office phone number is 214-252-9099. Just ask for the disability department, and we'll talk you through the disability process and see if it's something we can help you with.
I appreciate your help today.
It was my pleasure, Keith.
That's all we've got for today, but if you have any more questions about Social Security or SSI, give Ian a call.